So here's a video that compares SEnuke XCr to Magic Submitter. Both the most up-to-date versions. Right now it's towards the end of 2013, almost the beginning of 2014. One thing I will say about these softwares is, they make frequent updates, very, very frequently, both of them. But they're making tweaks here and there. They add websites, they subtract websites. The type of websites that they've been submitting to are pretty much exactly the same. Magic Submitter is going to do submissions to video sites, social bookmarks, social networks, microblogs, Web 2.0s, articles, and I'm probably missing a few, but SEnuke is going to do the same exact thing. So if you're comparing them and you're wondering which tool is going to provide the most outputs, the most submissions, it's going to be equal. But I will say that with Magic Submitter, you can actually scrape your own content. You can scrape your own websites. You can import them into the Magic Submitter system pretty easily once you figure out how to scrape things, and if you understand what footprints are. Footprints are like a commonality that every website will have if it's hosted by a certain platform. So let's say a platform was WordPress. Somewhere it might say hosted by WordPress. And what a scraper does is it goes out, it scrapes, it takes a keyword, it goes into the search engines, it takes every single result, looks for the word made by WordPress or whatever I said. And then if it finds that word, it's going to assume that it's a WordPress site. It's going to add it to the list. If it doesn't find that word, then it's not going to do anything. And that's scraping, and then you take that, you clean it up a little bit automatically within the system, you import it into Magic Submitter, and you might have a few more, high PR domains to submit to that you didn't have before. With SEnuke, it's the domains they give you, and they update it frequently, which is also good. There's nothing really wrong with that. But the problem is that everyone and their mother is submitting to the same exact websites on SEnuke. So if you go with SEnuke, you're submitting to those same websites too. So that's one thing. Let me take a step back though and talk about the reason behind wanting to use any of these programs. So obviously, if you're getting these programs, you're doing some kind of SEO. Maybe you have a new website, maybe you have a new keyword you're targeting. You want that keyword to hit the front page, so you're going to run a campaign to it. And you're going to insert spun articles into either one of these. And you're going to put in your anchor text, and you're going to make the right percentages, and you're going to do all that stuff. And then you got that all set up, and then you fire it off for, whatever, a 30-day submission. And then you might build a second tier or a third tier, and you might have either of these programs auto submitting for the next 90 days on autopilot. And both of them do the same thing. They both have very easy to make tiered linking structure. So if you're wondering about that, you're not really losing anything on either one there. But if you are doing that, it's the age of penguin and panda, right? And even beyond that, it's the new age of the semantic web. So these tools are going to have to get updated quickly, and I think they will. I think the development team is really on top of things, and as Google changes, they'll come out with new tutorials on how to use these programs successfully. They'll come out with LSI tools. They'll help steer people in the right direction. But if you're wondering which one of these tools is going to get me to the front page of Google easiest, if it's a keyword worth anything, I would say that either one of these could be a tool in your arsenal, and you only need one or the other. You don't really need both, unless you have the money to spend. And for the record, Magic costs about $60 a month, and SEnuke costs about 100 something, maybe 120. I forget the exact number, but it's about double the cost. And so you don't need one or the other unless for some reason you like to do one with one tier and then blast those links with a second tier. Maybe that's something you're into. Maybe that'll diversify the footprints, which is fine. But the point I'm trying to make is Just be careful with either one of these programs. Make sure you don't abuse it. Make sure it's a part of your arsenal and that it's not your entire arsenal. So let's get down to some of the comparison metrics now. Let's talk about ease, the user interface, and the ease of usability. For this, I would give SEnuke kind of the hands down thumbs up that SEnuke is the one to go for in this case. So let's click Wizard, for example. So here's the basic look of the wizard. There's also a turbo wizard, which is much faster, for sure. Here's the common wizard, and if you put in a campaign name here, and just add some random keywords. You can see it'll just scroll through the top, and then you slowly fill out each one of these. And you can auto-generate this content here, so first name, last name, username, all of that stuff. You can auto-select categories as well. But you do, in my opinion, if you want to do real targeted SEO, you do want to create some subdomains that are niche specific. Maybe not all niche specific because you want to change things up a bit, but if you leave it as is, it's just going to turn your keyword into every single subdomain backlink you create, which is a big footprint. So there's some things you want to customize, and there's actually some really cool programs like Wicked Article Creator. And now this is something where if you type in a keyword and you click on SEnuke, you can do Magic Submitter too. It's going to go and build an entire. It's going to scrape a bunch of articles about Google. It's going to turn it into line by line, and then it's going to build the whole thing up, and then you can import it into SEnuke. You can do the same thing with Magic Submitter. So it's a lot easier to create content if you don't care so much about quality. And the only reason to not care about quality, in my opinion, is if you're doing, second and third tier links, or you're doing some kind of churn and burn stuff where you don't mind the spam. That's when you can use stuff like Article Creator and use it safely. And then the campaign creation for, well, let me show you the Turbo Wizard before I move on. So here's a Turbo Wizard, and you're putting in URLs, keywords. You can even use Article Builder to just do everything automatically, but it is a monthly subscription, so just be aware of that. And this gives you everything to start off with. You got templates, and then that's literally that easy just to create a campaign. Now, for me, this is extremely dangerous to use this. I would never use this on any site that I care about, because right now you need to have great anchor text. You could spam everything to death all you want, and that's fine to a certain extent. If you have bad anchor text, and the percentages don't match up with the way that they need to, and that's changing all the time. So I'm not going to tell you what those percentages are. If you want to know what the most recent percentages are, just visit my website, timechambermarketing.com. I usually have updates about it. But here is not something I would do. I don't like that you can just list one keyword and let it fire. I need to have the percentages in place. I need to have it kind of in some kind of spun form, and you can do that with a regular. You can do that with a regular wizard. You can modify the spin to have your own percentages pop out. Like if your keyword was Google and some secondary keywords were like Google News, Google Images, you could do Google News and Google Images 4 times within the spin, and that'll increase the percentage of times that keyword is going to pop out, if that makes sense. So I'm going to move over to Magic Submitter, and I clicked on Create Profile. And you can actually fill a lot of this stuff with just random content. It's blocked for now, but you can auto-populate basically all of this stuff here. And I just did, and you can see that it gives you a login, gives you passwords, your first name, which it doesn't put into spin text format. If you remember with SEnuke, it did change up the name. With the address, and it kind of spits out all this stuff here. Now there's a danger to this, obviously, is that if you're only using one profile with a submission, then every single profile that's created, and it could be hundreds to thousands of profiles, it's all going to have the same name, address. So this is all, you can put all this stuff in the spin text, and you're really going to want to do that. And one of the things I like about Magic Submitter more so than SEnuke is actually this in-system spinning software. I find this to be really useful. I find it to be easier on the eyes to read. It color codes some of the spin text and stuff like that. So, and like if it's a spin within a spin, it'll actually make it like green and change colors, so it's easier to see. See what I mean? And sometimes I just open up Magic Submitter when I have a huge list to spin. I can paste it in here. It could be 6 million keywords or 6 million lines long, and it'll spin it. There's some other programs like Spinner Chief, for example, which cuts it off after a few thousand, and it's not helpful. So this is something that I really enjoy from Magic Submitter, the spinner. I find myself using it more than just for submissions. So I'm not going to set up a profile right now. So I'm going to talk a little bit about actually creating the campaigns. I showed you the wizard here in SEnuke, and Magic Submitter is pretty similar, but I will say that setting up a campaign in Magic Submitter, it just takes longer. There's more things to check off. There's more things to verify. If you're submitting to article directories, Web 2.0s, videos, it'll actually separate all of that stuff out into different sections. So you have your article for Web 2.0s, you have your article for the other guys, and some things you want to have different, some things you want to change. If there's an error you find somewhere, you have to go back and update the error for every single module that you're submitting to. For something like SEnuke, it kind of does the same thing actually, because while you can auto-populate a few things, when you're kind of clicking through the campaign setup, it's going to say, okay, now here's the setup for articles. And it'll show you the article, it'll show you the keywords, it'll show you the anchors, and you say next, and it'll say, okay, now here's the setup for Web 2.0 properties. It'll show you the keywords, it'll show you the anchor, it'll show you next. So they're actually both kind of labor intensive, but I just find Magic Submitter to be even more so. And of course, for Magic Submitter, there is no turbo wizard. So, if something came up and you had a list of perfectly mixed anchor text and list format, and you just wanted to paste it into the turbo wizard, that's something you could definitely do. And then, setting up a campaign would take minutes. Whereas with the wizard or, just regular campaign process in Magic Submitter, it takes a lot longer. Let me talk a little bit about the scheduler and how the submissions modules work. So once you have a campaign set up, either one of these, they kind of go on autopilot right after that. The very first thing they do is they both start making accounts with the emails that you fed them. And then after making those accounts, they both automatically verify the emails in the inbox. And after the emails are automatically verified, they automatically start posting the articles. So both of those things are on complete autopilot. And not only that, both of these tools, if there's a website that was posted and there was a link and then suddenly the link got taken down or the account got deleted by the admins, it'll go back in there and it'll check on that link. If it's deleted, it'll remove it from the link list. And the reason that's important is because both of these guys, they have tiered link building. So, after you finish the first tier of websites pointing to your money site, the second tier starts firing off. Now, you don't want that second tier firing off to dead links. So they both have a good feature where if there's a dead link, it's going to remove it from the link list, so you don't build any links there. So from my perspective, if I had to choose between the two, and I had only one choice, it would still depend on my objective. Because I would prefer SEnuke for certain things, and I would prefer Magic Submitter for certain things. And if I had no other programs to choose from, if you're really set on these two right here, and you wanted to have quality content being spun out to many different websites and some websites of your choosing, I would definitely go for Magic Submitter. You know, even with the standard campaigns, Magic Submitter does take longer, but at the end of the day, I feel like it forces you to be more careful with your links, and that takes you a little bit longer. But at the end of the day, that's what we want. That's what we need. And with its integrated spinning software, you can actually do some high quality spinning within the system. You know, if you're doing that. And I find that when I've tried to rank websites with Magic Submitter, as you know, just a cog in my process, some of the websites have done really well. And you know, I did the same with SEnuke, and this is just me, and this might be arbitrary, and there's no like, you know, this is not definitive, or no, I hate to say anything bad about SEnuke because it's a good software, it's well supported, a lot of people love it, but in terms of ranking websites, it just didn't work that well for me. Now, what I will say about SEnuke is, if I have a YouTube video to rank, and you know, I just want to blast it with some links and set up a campaign real quick, I go to SEnuke first, always. I don't even think I've used Magic Submitter for YouTube backlinking, just because it would take too long to set up. Something like SEnuke right there is perfect because you can even go into the wizard, which is, you know, you click through because you don't care as much because it's YouTube, and it's a quick setup. So for something like that, I've definitely used YouTube in the past. And when you combine it with Wicked Article Creator, you can also use things like Content Machine. It's extremely quick to do backlinks for a YouTube video. I could probably set up an entire campaign in 20 minutes, whereas that same campaign in Magic Submitter would probably take, you know, at least, you know, just to spam me, it would probably take 45 minutes. So there's a big difference. So, you know, that's just my 2 cents. I like Magic Submitter, I like SEnuke. If I had to choose between the two, I prefer quality over quantity anytime. I just go with Magic Submitter. At the end of the day, if I really wanted to rank a YouTube video, if I really wanted to spam something, I could go on Fiverr for $5 and have someone else spam using SEnuke for me. You know, so I don't need to pay 120 bucks for a software that's a secondary candidate for myself. Anyway, that's just my quick review, or 17 minutes, so not so quick. But I hope you guys found this helpful. If you have any other questions or you wanted to read some more articles, I have tons of different reviews comparing different SEO softwares. Just check it out. It's timechambermarketing.com. Link is below in the description. Thank you.